My name is Brianna Hammonds, and I'm 32 years old. Over the past decade, I've poured my heart, soul, and every waking hour into building a solid career as a manager at Preston & Associates. While my younger sisters, Sarah and Emma, were busy navigating diapers, dance recitals, and daycare, I was grinding through late nights, tight deadlines, and endless boardroom meetings. And you know what? I don't regret it. I love what I do. I love the independence, the structure, and yes, even the chaos of corporate life. But sometimes, in those quiet moments late at night, I do wonder, did I miss out? There's no wedding ring on my finger, no baby bottles in my sink, just me, a big comfy couch, and a corner office with a breathtaking view of the city skyline. It was just another Tuesday morning. I was halfway through my third cup of coffee, ankle deep in financial reports, when my phone lit up. It was Sarah. I smiled automatically. My baby sister calling me during work hours meant one of two things. Something funny had happened with her toddler, or she needed something. "Hey, Bri!" Her chipper voice came through the speaker. "Hey, girl, what's up?" I answered, eyes still scanning the figures in front of me. "So, do you know Mom's turning 60 in a couple of months?" she asked, voice casual, but a little too sweet. I stopped mid-scroll. "Of course I know. What about it?" "We're planning something big, like really special. A surprise, but we'll need everyone to chip in." I set my pen down. "How much are we talking?" When she told me the number, I nearly spit my coffee all over my desk. It was more than I'd spent on my last trip, and that trip had been 3 years ago. "I know it's a lot," she added quickly, "but it's for Mom. She deserves something special, right?" I sighed, already opening my banking app. "Yeah, okay, I'll send it now." "You're the best. Oh, and one more thing. Make sure to take the whole week off. Don't book anything else, okay?" I blinked. "A whole week? What's going on?" "You'll see," she sang and hung up. The weeks that followed blurred into back-to-back meetings and mounting deadlines. Every now and then, I'd think about the money I'd sent and wonder what they were planning. But every time I asked, they'd wave me off with "just wait" or "it's a surprise." I was curious, sure, but I also trusted them. Besides, I was too wrapped up in work to dwell on it. Then came the Saturday dinner. Everyone gathered at our parents' house. Mom and Dad, Sarah and Emma, Aunt Susan with her kids, my cousins Michael and Rachel. The usual chaos filled the room, kids squealing, dishes clattering, Dad cracking his tired old jokes, and Mom fussing over everyone's plates. Then, in the middle of pushing peas around her plate, Sarah cleared her throat dramatically. "We finalized the plans for Mom's birthday," she announced with a grin. "We're going to Mountain Pine Resort. A whole week of skiing, hot chocolate, and family time." The room erupted in chatter. Mom looked thrilled. Dad was already talking about hitting the slopes. My sisters started chatting about ski jackets and which slopes they wanted to conquer. I just sat there blinking. "Wait, what? A ski trip?" Emma nodded, excited. "Yep, it's going to be amazing." "Why am I just hearing about this now?" I asked, feeling that weird sinking sensation in my chest. "I don't even have a ski suit. There's barely time to shop." The table fell silent. Mom gave me that look, the one she uses when she's about to say something I'm not going to like. "Honey," she began gently, "we were hoping you could do us all a huge favor." I braced myself. "We need someone to watch the kids during the trip," she said with a smile, like she was offering me a gift instead of a burden. I laughed. I honestly thought it was a joke. But no one else was laughing. "You want me to stay back and babysit?" I asked, blinking. "All 5 of them? Emma's toddler Jason, Sarah's baby girl Lucy, Michael's twins Tom and Anna, Rachel's son Pete, all under the age of 7. "Well, you're so good with them," Mom said, like that settled everything. "They adore their Aunt Brianna." I looked around the table, waiting for someone to speak up, to say this was nuts. But no. They all just looked at me expectantly, like this was the obvious solution. "That's not fair," I said, hearing my voice crack slightly. "I want to be part of the celebration, too. It's Mom's birthday." Emma sighed and set down her fork. "Come on, Brianna. You'd be bored anyway. It's going to be noisy and crowded." "Bored?" I repeated. "Why would you think that?" "Well," she said with a shrug, "you're great with kids. And let's be honest, it's not like you need a break from family life." The words hit harder than I expected. "What's that supposed to mean?" Sarah jumped in, her tone syrupy and smug. "She just means you don't have kids or a husband to get away from. The rest of us, well, we need this break." I felt my cheeks burning. I blinked quickly, forcing the tears back. Without another word, I pushed my chair away from the table and stood. "Brianna," Mom said softly, a hint of concern in her voice, but not enough to stop me. I grabbed my purse and walked out. No one followed. No one tried to stop me. The only thing I heard as I left was Mom's voice floating from the dining room. "She'll come around. She always does." The cold night air hit my face as I stepped outside. I stood there for a moment, trying to catch my breath. 10 years. 10 years of being the reliable one, the dependable one. The one who canceled plans, stepped in at the last second, opened her wallet without question. And now they couldn't even include me in the fun? Couldn't even ask me what I wanted before assuming I'd be okay, staying behind? It wasn't just the babysitting. It was the way they went about it. Like I didn't matter. Like I was just a tool in their family toolbox. That night, I paced my apartment like a caged animal. I replayed every time I'd said yes to their last-minute requests. Every time I'd dropped everything to help them. 16 years old, cooking dinner while Mom helped Emma with homework. 18, skipping a spring break trip so I could babysit Sarah while my parents went away. 21, working 2 jobs in college so I could help pay for Emma's prom dress. And on it went. I sank into my couch, staring at the ceiling. Was this what my sacrifices were worth? A babysitting gig while everyone else skied and laughed and toasted marshmallows? The next morning, I woke up feeling like I hadn't slept at all. My body was exhausted, but my mind wouldn't stop spinning. I kept replaying their faces at dinner, their silence, their expectation, their assumption that I would, of course, say yes, because I always did. But this time felt different. I waited until around 9 a.m., then called Mom. She picked up on the 3rd ring, her voice tight but polite. "Hi, Mom," I began, keeping my tone calm. "I've been thinking about everything. I want to be part of the birthday celebration. I want to be there with everyone else, so I have an idea. I'll pay for a professional babysitter to watch the kids at the resort." The line went quiet. For a few seconds, I thought maybe we got disconnected. Then came her answer. "That won't work, Brianna," she said, voice clipped. "We can't trust a stranger with the children. They're used to you." "Mom," I tried again, gentler this time. "I want to be there. It's your 60th birthday. I could find someone experienced, vetted. I'd do the research." She cut me off. "You're not exactly a social butterfly, sweetie. You'd probably be uncomfortable with all the noise and activity anyway. The kids will keep you busy, and you like spending time with them. It's perfect." Then, without a goodbye, she hung up. I stared at my phone in disbelief. A moment later, it buzzed again. "Sarah." "How dare you?" she hissed, skipping any pleasantries. "Mom told me about your little babysitter plan. Are you trying to ruin everything?" I took a breath, trying not to let her anger infect me. "No, I'm trying to offer a solution, one where I can be part of the trip too." "Well, we already have a solution," she snapped. "You watch the kids. Everything's already planned. You're the only one trying to change things." "You're calling me selfish?" "Yes," she said bluntly. "We've worked hard on this. The resort is booked, activities are scheduled, and now you're throwing a wrench in it because you can't just do one thing for the family?" One thing. That's how she saw it. Just one thing. I didn't respond. I couldn't. She hung up before I could even say another word. Barely 5 minutes passed before my phone pinged again. This time, it was Emma. "Family needs to stick together," her first message read. Then another. "Remember when I watered your plants last year when you were at that work conference?" Followed by yet another. "You're good with these kids. They love you. Please stop being resentful and think about what's best for the family." I stared at my phone. My fingers hovered over the screen, then flew across the keyboard. A real family doesn't take advantage of each other. A real family includes people in their plans. A real family doesn't manipulate and guilt-trip someone into giving up their time without asking. I watched the little dots that meant Emma was typing, then not typing, then typing again, but no response came. And that's when it all clicked into place. The way they'd asked for money without explaining, the careful suggestion to take time off work without giving details. The sudden announcement at dinner, after everything had already been booked. They'd planned it from the beginning. While I was working overtime, while I was picking up slack, while I was taking care of their kids and contributing to the family fund, they were arranging a ski trip I wasn't even invited to enjoy. They used my money, my vacation time, and my silence. And now that I wasn't playing along, they were trying every tactic, guilt, anger, pressure, to put me back in my box. But something had changed in me. I opened my laptop, searched for flights. Within an hour, I had booked a first-class ticket to Florida, a beachfront hotel with a view of the ocean, a place where no one would be asking me to wipe noses or cut sandwiches into shapes. The next few days flew by. At work, things were calm. I didn't hear a word from my family. I imagined they thought I was quietly preparing to play nanny for the week, stocking up on snacks and games, child-proofing my apartment. They had no idea I was packing swimsuits and beach dresses. The day of my flight, I cleaned my apartment top to bottom. I checked the locks, emptied the fridge, tidied up the living room. Everything was in its place. And this time, for once, I wasn't doing it to impress anyone or prepare for guests. I was doing it for me. On the plane, I switched off my phone and tucked it into my bag. No calls, no texts, no guilt. Florida welcomed me like a warm hug. The ocean air was salty and soft. Palm trees waved in the breeze. My hotel room had a balcony with a clear view of the horizon, and when I stepped out barefoot onto the warm wooden boards, I could hear the waves crashing gently below. That first afternoon, I walked along the beach, letting the sun kiss my face and the sand sift between my toes. I hadn't felt that free in years. I swam. I napped. I read books in silence. I had dinner at a seaside restaurant where the only mess was the one I made with my own seafood platter. No crying babies, no spilled juice boxes, just me, a glass of white wine, and the setting sun. It felt indulgent and necessary. But I knew eventually I'd have to turn my phone back on. When I finally did, it was the last day of my trip. The phone lit up with messages. Hundreds of them. Missed calls, voicemails, text after text, all with timestamps from the day I left. My heart pounded as I opened the first one. Sarah, we're outside your house. Where are you? Emma, open the door. The kids are getting restless. Michael, we dropped off Tom and Anna. You home? Rachel, what's going on? Pete keeps asking for you. I could picture the scene perfectly. My family standing on my porch, 5 kids in tow, suitcases in hand, looking confused as the realization hit that I wasn't there, that the house was dark and empty. The texts turned from confusion to panic, then from panic to fury. Sarah again, this isn't funny, where are you? Emma, you can't just disappear. Then came the rage. Sarah, you selfish witch, how could you do this? Emma, Mom's birthday is ruined because of you. Aunt Susan, ungrateful little brat, those children were counting on you. Mom's messages came later. I'm so disappointed in you. I never thought you'd be this selfish. After everything we've done for you. And finally from Dad, who never texts, just one message. Your mother is crying. I hope you're happy. I sat in that serene hotel room, listening to waves crash outside the window, and read every single word. And for the first time, I saw them clearly. Not just my family, but the version of them I hadn't wanted to admit existed. The ones who saw me as a tool, not a person. I didn't reply to any of the messages, not one. I didn't call back, I didn't explain. Instead, I closed this messaging app and packed my suitcase slowly, methodically, letting the calm of the ocean follow me with every folded item. My flight was in a few hours, and for once, I didn't feel dread about going home. I felt grounded, light, like I had finally taken the first real breath in years. When I walked into my apartment that evening, everything was just as I'd left it, quiet, clean, untouched. I started unpacking, humming softly to myself, when a loud, urgent pounding shook my front door. I froze. It was aggressive, frantic, and then I heard it. The key. The emergency key I had given Mom years ago, just in case. The lock turned, and the door swung open before I could even get there. My mother barged in, red-faced, flanked by Emma and Sarah on either side. All 3 of them looked like they had been stewing in anger for days, and the second they saw me, it exploded. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Sarah shouted, stepping into my living room. "You ruined everything," Emma added, her voice shrill and sharp. "Everything!" I stood there, not moving, watching them with a stillness I didn't know I had in me. They were wild, pacing, throwing their arms in the air, listing off complaints like a courtroom indictment. "Mike and John refused to stay with the kids," Emma shouted. "They both claimed they had last-minute work emergencies. Sarah ended up staying behind with all 5 kids while the rest of us went to the resort," Mom snapped. "She missed everything." "No one enjoyed the trip," Sarah said. "Everyone was stressed. Mom cried every day. The whole thing fell apart. Dad couldn't even ski properly, they said. The mood was ruined. Everyone blamed me." I stood in the middle of the room letting them rant. The absurdity of it all felt almost cinematic. My living room, the same place where I'd folded laundry for their kids, hosted holiday meals, changed diapers, was now the stage for this storm of resentment. Then something inside me shifted. I started to laugh. It began as a small chuckle, and then turned into full-blown laughter. They stopped mid-rant, staring at me like I'd lost my mind. "What's so funny?" Mom barked, her cheeks blotchy with rage. "How is any of this funny?" I wiped tears from my eyes and finally looked each of them in the face. "You honestly don't hear how ridiculous you sound?" "Excuse me?" Sarah hissed. "You planned this entire trip without me," I said, voice steady. "You asked for money without telling me what it was for. You told me to take time off work without explaining why. And then you decided, without even asking, that I would watch your kids while you all had fun." "We thought you'd be fine with it," Mom said. "You always help." "And that's the problem," I said. "Because I've always helped. You stopped asking. You stopped seeing me as your daughter or your sister and started seeing me as free childcare." "That's not true," Emma said quickly, but there was hesitation in her voice. "Really?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "Then why wasn't I included in the planning? Why didn't anyone think to ask me if I even wanted to go? Why did you all assume I'd be fine staying behind with 5 kids while the rest of you celebrated?" They looked at each other. I waited for understanding. But what I got instead was more coldness. "You're being selfish," Mom said. "This isn't the daughter I raised. You hurt your sisters. You ruined my birthday." I took a deep breath. "No, Mom. You hurt me. You planned everything around what you needed, what everyone else wanted. And the second I didn't comply, I became the villain." She stood up straighter, as if bracing for a final blow. "If that's how you feel," she said, voice like ice, "then maybe I don't have a daughter named Brianna anymore." There it was. A silence fell over the room, heavy and brutal. "If that's what you want," I said softly, "then so be it." They left without another word. 6 weeks have passed since that night. Not a single call, not a visit. Just silence and the occasional passive-aggressive jab on social media. Last week, Mom posted, "Some people only think about themselves." Dozens of relatives and family friends chimed in, offering her sympathy and comfort. Sarah posted a photo of her daughter with the caption, "So blessed to have people who understand the true meaning of family." Emma wrote a long post about toxic people who destroy family unity out of selfishness. Of course, I wasn't tagged, but I didn't have to be. A few months ago, those posts would have shattered me. I would have been up all night, spiraling with guilt, drafting explanations I'd never send. But not anymore. Now I just scroll past with a quiet, knowing smile. I've shifted my life in ways I never thought I could. My weekends are no longer on standby for emergencies. I joined a book club that meets every Saturday morning in a sunny little cafe downtown. It felt strange at first, sitting at a table with new faces, sipping coffee, knowing that no one was going to call me in a panic. I've even booked another vacation, a spring trip to Europe. I didn't ask anyone's opinion. I didn't coordinate schedules or double-check if anyone might need me. I just saw a good deal and clicked book now. Sometimes I think about my nieces and nephews. I miss them in a way, but I don't miss being manipulated with their smiles and hugs. I hope one day they'll understand. Maybe when they're older, they'll see what I couldn't for years. Maybe they'll recognize the patterns and choose better for themselves. That emergency key? The one Mom used to barge into my home? I still have it. I've thought about mailing it back, but each time I hold it in my hand, something inside me says, not yet. Maybe in some quiet corner of my heart, I still hope they'll come around, that they'll see what they did, that they'll understand love isn't about exploitation, that being family doesn't mean being used. But I'm not waiting for that anymore. I'm not pressing pause on my life, hoping for their approval. I'm not bending myself in half to earn my place. For the first time in my life, I'm putting me first, and it feels right. Yesterday, I deleted the family group chat from my phone. No drama, no announcement, just one less thread tugging at my peace. They'll say I'm selfish, they already have. But I've learned something vital. There's a big difference between being selfish and having self-respect. And I finally know which one I'm choosing.